Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Fantasy Football Addicts. My name is Dawson. I'm your host, and I'm joined by Nick and Wyatt. Once again, we're the Fantasy Football Addicts, and we have another awesome video planned for you today. Today, we're going to break down rounds 10 through 20 of our one-man's Dynasty League. And if you haven't seen, our first video ever was actually us breaking down rounds 1 through 10. So if you haven't watched that, stop what you're doing, go watch that real fast, and then we'll pick up right here in round, I think it's actually 11 because we finished on round 10. So before we start that, don't forget to go follow us on Twitter at the FF Addicts. We actually just hit 50 followers today after like 4 days of having the Twitter. So we're going pretty fast over there. Do you guys want to say anything before we get started?
No, I would just like to say real quick that I think these rounds are important for your dynasty team. I think it's not exciting, but it is necessary, and you really win with depth. We were actually just talking about one league where we saw one team stand out with clear depth advantage over everyone, and that automatically makes you a contender. So if you really pay attention in the mid to late rounds, you could definitely win a championship there.
Right, I totally agree. This video may not be super exciting to look at. It might not be a clickbaity title, but it's definitely going to get you some value, and it will win you leagues as we talk about these picks in the mid to late rounds and what we're thinking behind them. So with that being said, let's get to it. Alrighty, here's our draft board for one man's dynasty. As you know, we went through round 10 and we finished with Mark Ingram being
Logan
picked
Ringo taking Mark Ingram.
After Mark Ingram went Drew Brees and Tom Brady. Drew Brees before Tom Brady, let that be known. And then Zach Nasty took Raheem Mostert in the 11th round, which I think is a good pick. That would have been my pick as well, probably at that spot. And then Wyatt comes up on the clock and drafts Noah Fant. I know you're a big fan of Noah Fant. Let's hear about him.
So I love Noah Fant personally. I think if you look at his rookie numbers, they're basically identical to Kittle's. It's pretty crazy. I know there are a lot of mouths to feed. That's what a lot of people are worried about in that offense. But I do think that he is a vertical threat, and I love Drew Lock, honestly, also for fantasy and just for what he can do for his receivers. So Noah Fant, I think, is going to have a big role in that offense, and I think getting him in the 11th round and not having to worry about tight end early is nice. I don't hate it, and I think he's young, so he helps my team because I'm building for the future, and I knew that by the 11th round for sure. So I love the pick.
Yeah, I totally agree. In the 11th round, Noah Fant is a good value, and you needed a tight end. He was probably the best one on the board. I personally am not a big Noah Fant guy, just because, like you said, too many mouths to feed. But if you're into Noah Fant, getting him in the 11th round is a great deal for your starting tight end. That brings us to Mick taking Michael Pittman Jr., a great pick, great rookie pick here in the early middle round area. Mick, what makes you like Michael Pittman? Why'd you take him here?
I like him because he's going to be the biggest target that Phillip Rivers is going to be able to throw to this year. And going forward, the Colts are going to have to get a new quarterback. So Phillip Rivers isn't going to have to be shot putting the ball for much longer. There'll be somebody else in there to be able to catch the ball or to be able to throw the ball to Michael Pittman. So I see it as an upside down the line. I did end up taking a lot of rookie wide receivers because you don't know who's going to bust. So if you take like 3-4 of them and 2-3 of them hit, I mean, you're in good shape.
Right.
Yeah, I would also just like to point out that if you take a look up one round, you've got T.Y. Hilton going at the 10-5 versus Pittman at the 11-5. And I think if you don't know what you're doing, then T.Y. in the 10th looks crazy. I definitely think there's good value, but if you look at a situation, new quarterback who's only going to be there a year, he's got injury history. He basically only plays well against the Texans now. I think Pittman is just a great pick, and I think Mick realized that. I don't hate T.Y. Hilton. I really don't, but I think Pittman is the next guy there, and they are set for success with that O-line, the running back. Quarterback's the only thing they need to figure out. Phillip Rivers is there for a year. We know he can throw the football. I love Pittman here. I think that's an absolute steal. I really do, because I really think you could flip T.Y. and Pittman as far as their fantasy production this year. So give me Pittman all day.
I mean, I think that's blasphemy to think that Michael Pittman's going to outscore T.Y. Hilton, but I do think T.Y. Hilton at this late, if solely for the name value of being able to flip T.Y. Hilton for someone that you would draft earlier, I think you could And I mean, your average fantasy football player is going to see you offer T.Y. Hilton, who you got in the 10th round, and be like, holy cow, he's worth
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
Stephon
T.Y.
Diggs
Hilton
or
He's kind of eye
definitely
candy.
has name value.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's eye
I've
candy to
drafted him
trade.
in redraft leagues over the past few years, literally just to trade him, and I've done that because he always goes off against the Texans, and I trade him right after that
Like
every single year.
think about
This
this.
year in a dynasty league, though, I think he's getting old, and people aren't really paying attention to the Colts anymore. So I think he is losing some of that name value. I think you can definitely like drafting him in the 10th where he went isn't terrible, but I think if you're drafting for someone you want to be in your lineup for long term, take Pittman.
I think I totally agree. For long-term dynasty, Pittman is going to be the better asset. But look, I think if you go to your average fantasy player and you say, I have T.Y. Hilton, will you give me Terry McLaurin straight up or Robert Woods straight up? They'd probably take it. They'd be like, T.Y., he's a top 10 receiver, like your average fantasy average fantasy player thinks
You also
T.Y.
got to know your league, because if you're playing with a bunch of people who know what they're doing, that's not
Right.
going to fly.
Right. But in our league,
yeah,
I could probably trade it to some of these guys up here that I know don't know as much or want to win now, and they think Ty is a good value with 1 year with Phillip Rivers. You could get someone younger and better. I think Ty in the 10th round is good value, at least for trade bait by itself. So after that, we went Justin Herbert, Darius Slayton, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirk, who I kind of like in
I
dynasty
like
leagues
both
at least.
of those, Brandon Cooks and Christian Kirk in the 11th round.
I'm not good with Brandon Cooks at all in a dynasty league. I wouldn't
He's
draft
going
him
to be
in
the
probably
number one
15th.
receiver for Deshaun Watson.
I think we forget who Brandon Cooks is. I especially you, Shibley. Shame on you. Brandon Cooks is an absolute animal receiver. Yes, he does have concussion history, and he's old, but I think he's in the same range as T.Y. Hilton.
How old is he?
I think he's in his late 20s, I'm sure.
I
Maybe
think
early
he's 28,
30s.
29. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
So I think that he's an absolute animal when he's catching footballs. He's a good receiver. I think he's in the same range as T.Y. Hilton as far as value.
He's 26 years old, and he's only had one season where he didn't have more than 1,000 yards receiving, and that was last year when he had the concussion issues.
Yeah, so I'm actually surprised about his age. But
he may be 26 years old, but his brain is like 49 and just got back from
I don't think you
a boxing
can.
Match.
It's not like he's Dalvin Cook, in my opinion. Like, I think he's a viable receiver, and we all know that offense is starving for talent. Like, they're gonna have to have someone to throw to. I think Brandon Cooks is in the same area as T.Y. Hilton. He's gonna get the target shared. So like,
there's
he's
150 vacated targets just from DeAndre Hopkins.
Right, which we touched on with other receivers, but in a dynasty league, I think he's one concussion away from leading the NFL.
In the 11th round, though?
I think he's in the same thing as T.Y.
Is your first you're taking
a clear top, I don't know.
That's your first to 60.
Spot. You're taking a top 50 to 60 player in fantasy football this year.
All right, so we're going to agree to disagree on Brandon Cooks, I guess, for now. But after him went Christian Kirk, Tariq Cohen, Dallas Goedert, Sony Michel, Jarrett Stidham, RIP to that pick, Denzel Mims, T. Higgins, and Nick took a great pick right here in the 12th round, Laviska Shenault, who a lot of us have touched on, or I think I touched on in the sleeper video, saying he was my favorite rookie sleeper. Nick, let's just real quick, just reiterate if they didn't see that video, I would like Laviska.
I like Laviska because Gardner Minshew, I think he was Wyatt's sleeper pick as well. I think if he's going to be a sleeper pick, he's going to have people to throw it to. And DJ Chark cannot be the only guy that he throws it to. So I see him being a very good complimentary number 2 for Gardner Minshew. So I like him there. But the guy I wanted to take here was actually Denzel Mims. But
I was going to say that cluster of 3 receivers right there at the 12-4 through 12-6.
Their dynasty is
Shenault,
nice.
Higgins, Mims. That's perfect for them to be going around the 12. If you want to reach for one a little bit earlier, you can. I don't love it, but it depends on how much you're valuing your rookies and your draft strategy. But Mims is going to be – I really think the guy for the Jets. I love Sam Darnold personally. Yeah. I think if they figure their stuff out, he's going to be great. T. Higgins is going to have Burrow, and I really think Boyd is the only super fantasy relevant guy there. I think they're both coming in as rookies. Him and Burrow, they'll kind of build some rapport. And Laviska, we've already touched on. Great pick.
Yeah, I think there's arguments that Laviska could go ahead of a lot of guys. Like maybe even Mick, you end up getting them both, but I could see Laviska going over Michael Pittman if you like the Jags. If you like Gardner Minshew over Phillip Rivers.
If I could have done it again, I would have, and knowing how the draft would have played out, I would have gone Mims, then Laviska. Or no, Mims, then Pittman, then Laviska.
Yeah. Anyways, Wyatt comes up and gets on Johnson in the 12-7. Probably doesn't love that, but it's a good depth play in the 12th round.
Yeah, no, just a quick note. The Lions can never run the ball, so I don't love it. You also have Swift there, but on is, again, another very similar to T.Y. in my opinion. Like, he's built a name for himself, and
you could get value out of him.
You can, and I did, and I just knew that's what I was doing, so took him to trade him.
Next up after on was another guy that I also talked about in the sleeper video. Someone I really love is Deontay Johnson. I think he's in for a huge year. And again, if you haven't seen the sleeper video, go back and watch that, because a lot of these guys in this range we touch on, and we really go into depth over like Laviska and Deontay and Gardner Minshew, and a lot of good sleeper picks. After that went Phillip Lindsay, Irv Smith Jr., Julian Edelman in the 13th, John Brown, and then I come up again. I take AJ Green, and here's why I think AJ Green is a good pick in the 13th round. Because for me, I'm in win now mode, as we talked about. I'm trying to win this year. And I think AJ Green still has it in the tank this year. I think he's going to be a security blanket for Joe Burrow. We talked about how the young quarterbacks like a big receiver to throw to, a big security blanket. And AJ Green, assuming he's healthy, there is the argument that Mick made before the video started that AJ Green has been off for 2 years and just doesn't have it anymore, and that's totally possible. But in the 13th round, I filled out my roster. He has the upside to be a top 10 receiver if he still has it. He's shown that he can do that. And I think at this point in the draft, why not take him, especially with Joe Burrow? I think he's going to love AJ Green this year.
Yeah, I think it's hard to bust in the 13th round, but if you could, I think
if he hits, it's a huge. If he becomes a top 10 receiver and I got him in the 13th round, I probably won the league.
Yeah, I mean, you probably won the league without him anyways, but
right.
Yeah, I just find it very hard to see AJ Green with a rookie and all the stuff that's going on with COVID really thriving like he needs to finish a top 10 guy. I just really see him being average or extremely bustable. So,
I mean, yeah, there's the risk, especially the injury risk, but I do think he has the potential to pop off, and I hope he will. Next up, Wyatt took Sterling Shepard, good pick, wide receiver. Anytime you can get a wide receiver one in the 13th round, why not take him? Wyatt, do you have anything to add to that?
No, other like him and Slayton are the guys right now, and then Ingram. Those three guys, Daniel Jones slings it. I love it.
I think he's only going to get better as Daniel Jones progresses, and I don't think he's too old, so he's going to provide value.
You're getting double digits in the 13th round. I'll take that.
Then Mick took Zach Moss. Go
I
ahead,
like
Mick.
him.
I don't.
So I like him in the 13th round only because look at all the other running backs left. The only one I was debating between him and Rojo at this point. Those were the two I broke it down to, but I ended up going with Zach Moss because I know he's going to get the goal line work. And I don't know what Rojo's going to do. Like, I have no idea what's going to go on because they said that they were going to give him the starting job last year, and they tried to. But even when he started, they didn't give him as much of the touches as I thought they would. So I'm not – it's the whole Tampa Bay thing with the Tom Brady thing. I just don't know what's going on over there. Zach Moss, I can almost guarantee that he's going to step into that Frank Gore role, and he's just a bowling ball. And then, God forbid, if Singletary goes down, last year he had a hamstrings, and they haunt people forever. So he could be the RB1 over there if Singletary goes down, and I like
for
that.
Sure. Yeah,
13th round, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, again, it's the 13th round, so it's not like you're risking too much. And I do think Zach Moss has upside if Devin Singletary goes down, but if he doesn't go down, I don't think you're going to know when to start him, in my opinion. But after him comes Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Gibson. I love him. Latavius Murray, Marvin Jones Jr. in the 13th round. I think that's a great pick, at least for this season. I know he's kind of old, but he's going to be good this year.
Yeah, for Dynasty long-term, you don't love Marvin Jones, but his points per game is actually almost identical to Galladay's. I don't think people realize that.
You're getting him 10 rounds later. So I think in redraft, he's a steal. I totally would take him in redraft. Ronald Jones Jr., Jamison Crowder, Brandon Ayuk, Matt Breida, Mike Williams, and then we see Jimmy G, and then Dwayne Haskins Jr. in the 14-6, just a starting quarterback. Nothing much to talk about there. Solid pick in the 14th for some depth. Then Wyatt took Jonnu Smith, and I took Hayden Hurst back-to-back. So those are two tight ends that we should touch on, that late-round tight ends that I think are going to be very good value plays as like your backup tight end. And that if they hit, they could be huge, huge upside for like Hayden Hurst. I mean, we talked about him in the sleeper video again. I love Hayden Hurst. Why do you love Jonas Smith as much as I love Hayden Hurst? Or because you took him?
Definitely not. No, I took Jonas Smith just because he's been there and his role is kind of set in stone. Looking back, I'd probably take Hurst just because it's the 14th and his ceiling's higher. But Fant is a guy that I think is going to do really well. But if not, then Jonas Smith I know is going to get me around 10 points a game, and I'm okay with that at tight end.
Right. Then Nick comes up and took Emmanuel Sanders. Do you think he's going to have a good season behind Michael Thomas? I think he has the potential to, even though that's not a super high volume pass offense anymore. I think he has potential.
Yeah, I think he's a really good receiver, and then you take him with Drew Brees throwing the ball to him. Plus,
At least for this
Michael
year.
Thomas is going to be working all the freaking triple teams because even if you put 5 guys on him, you still can't stop him, honestly.
Right.
So he's going to require so much defensive attention that I think Emmanuel Sanders I think he's going to be pretty good. And in the 14th round, I mean, I feel like he's a good fringe flex play every week. So
I haven't wanted to say this to y'all because I've tried to get Emmanuel Sanders in both leagues that we're all in together, but it is Dynasty. He's old, but I don't think people realize like the lack of a number 2 Breeze has had. And it's been Ginn, who's a fast old guy who can't really run routes and will occasionally catch a ball. I think Emmanuel Sanders was a beast in San Francisco with Jimmy G, who I don't think is a great passing quarterback. Nobody does. Drew Brees is going to love this. Michael Thomas, if he's not there on the first read, the ball's going to Emmanuel Sanders. No doubt. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to get a huge target share, like way bigger than people think, and it's coming from the most accurate passer in NFL history. So give me that.
Dude, that offense, we talked about the Patriots being goony. That offense could be goony this year, boys. I mean, I know y'all don't want to hear it, but
I don't think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be good. It's not going to be Bucks good, but it'll be good.
After that went McCole Hardman. And so now that we're in the 15th round, I think what we're going to do is just kind of, instead of going through each pick by pick, just kind of we'll just each pick someone we want to talk about in each round. I think in the 15th round, the best pick that I saw was Alexander Madison by Wyatt.
Oh, you didn't like Alan Lazard?
Not as much as I liked Alexander Madison because right now, he might be the starting running back in Minnesota, and he has the potential, the very high potential of whether it be the holdout or whether it be the injury for Dalvin Cook. He has the potential to be a top 5, top 10 back.
Yeah, I wouldn't take him any earlier than around this range. But whenever we did draft this team, this league, Dalvin Cook had not announced his holdout at the time.
Right.
So I
imagine
his ADP is a lot higher than it went in this draft, so I'm kind of hesitant to say, hey, take this guy. But 15th round, if he's in the 15th round, take him.
Right.
Yeah, if you watch football, just real quick, then and you've watched the Vikings, you know Alexander Madison can run the ball. He's a good runner. He just happens to get stuck behind probably one of the most talented backs in the NFL, but an injury-prone back and a guy who's also holding out. So I just figured I'll take him. I've taken him in years before. I took him last year. Just because that offense is good enough and they run the ball enough to where if something happens to the starter, you've got yourself a top 10 back, and I love it.
Wyatt, is that your favorite pick from this round as well?
No, I like James White at the 15-1 more.
But again, N'Keal Harry's there, and I think his value went up as well.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
no. Good value now.
I don't know. I kind of like all 3 of those middle picks. I like Madison, Lazard, and Harry.
Christian McCaffrey emerged with Cam. I think James White is going to be – he's not Christian McCaffrey, obviously, but I think he'll see a lot from Cam, and I think James White finishes very solid this year.
It's definitely, I think, a good pick in the 15th round. For the 16th round, my favorite pick is probably going to be Preston Williams because I think in the first 8 weeks last year, he was actually outpacing Devontae Parker, who finished as wide receiver 7, Devontae Parker did. And all of his numbers pretty much came after Preston Williams got hurt. Preston Williams was the number 1 option for whoever was the quarterback at the time. Was it Fitzmagic?
Ryan Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzmagic and Josh Rosen.
Yeah, so Preston Williams was emerging as slightly the number 1. There was kind of a 1A, 1B situation. And I think before he went down, he was an amazing receiver. And I think that he has the potential to go off this year. But actually, once Tua goes in, I think that he'll have steady quarterback play, and that just boosts him even more.
Okay, I like two people in this draft. In this round. I like Preston Williams as well, as you mentioned. Actually, I like three people. I like the Minshew in 16.
We're picking one here, Mick. We're picking one.
Hey, I can't just pick one.
No, you got to pick one because
No.
you're probably going to take my guy. We each get one.
Oh, no. There's no ones here. Look, there's three guys I would take in this round, and I like them all a lot. I like the Minshew, I like the Preston Williams, and I like the Chase Edmonds pick.
In the 17th round, I definitely think the steal of the round has to be Jared Cook in the 17-9. I mean, we just talked about that offense. He's going to be the number 3 look for Drew. I mean, we saw how good he was before he got hurt. He was putting up like 20 points a week.
He was literally just finding the end zone with the ball in his hand. Like, it was insane. His touchdown regression is coming. I think him at the 17-9 is perfectly fine. I don't think he's a steal or anything. If I had to pick someone in this round, give me Sternberger, Robbie Anderson, or Sammy Watkins.
Nick, do you like the Jared Cook pick in the 17th round?
I do, but I like Sternberger more, but that was only one pick ahead. So with what he had to choose from, I like that pick. I don't like Jared Cook as much as you because of the Emmanuel Sanders thing. I think he's going to get some targets taken away, but he's in the 17th round. How can you not take a tight end one in the 17th round?
Right, exactly. I think he's the only bona fide start 70%, play 70% of the snap tight end left in this range. So in the 18th round, I think my favorite pick here is going to be Jordan Love ? Because I think just for dynasty purposes, I don't think Aaron Rodgers has that much longer there, so I think it's a good pick there.
I'll tell you what, I'll take my little dry erase eraser or whatever and just erase the question mark for you and put an exclamation point. Jordan Love, absolutely the best pick in this round. I don't think people realize the hostility that's going on in Green Bay and what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, and he could very well be gone this year or next year. Like, you don't know. They literally pulled to Tom Brady what he experienced last year and just didn't get him any wide receiver help for one of the greatest passing quarterbacks of all time. That's literally just saying, like, forget you, get out of here. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone very soon, and you have a guy that they drafted a quarterback when you've got Aaron Rodgers. So they obviously like this guy, and he's going to be the number 1 there, like, possibly this year. Like, you don't know. So I think for Dynasty, I'm just saying, for Dynasty, you're getting a starting quarterback in the next 1 or 2 years in the 18th round. Give me that.
I think it's more 2 to 3 years, but
yeah, I like Jordan Love as well. I mean, go back, go, but I don't see Aaron Rodgers leaving, because if they were to cut him or trade him, they would take a $20 million salary cap hit. Exactly. And I don't think that they want to do that. So Jordan Love, I think it's 2 years away.
So that takes us to the 18th round, or the 19th round, where I think the best pick in this round is going to be
O.J. Howard.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I disagree. I think it's probably my pick, Phillip Rivers, because the 19th round to get a starting quarterback, I'll take it.
The dude throws shot puts.
Doesn't matter. He's going to be a starting quarterback. He's like the 5th quarterback on my roster, and I got him in the 19th round.
If he has a rough start, I would not.
I think we all
I don't think that they'll
hesitate
to put. I don't think they'll hesitate to put Jacoby Brissett back in.
My favorite pick in this round is my pick, Anthony McFarland, because James Conner is also injury prone, and regardless, I don't think he's going to be there that long, and I think that McFarland's going to be the number 1 back there in a historically great running team, and I think he'll be good.
That takes us to the 20th round, and our final round that we'll be touching on in this draft pretty much. And I think the best pick here is definitely Boston Scott. I think he has the potential to – I mean, he's a deep sleeper that everyone loves this year. I think if Miles Sanders goes down, Boston Scott becomes – I mean, he might not be they'll probably split it, but he's going to be the Darren Sproles role. Remember when Darren Sproles was a top 10 running back when he was doing – he's going to be catching a lot of passes. And I think he's a 20th round pick. He's a great value down there. I don't think he's going to be a RB1 by any means, but I think he definitely has value in the 20th round.
I think my favorite in this round would probably be Blake Jarwin. I mean, it's hard to find a tight end 1 this late. I know they have a lot of weapons there, but I think Michael Gallup only has like 2 more years left, and they're not going to be able to afford to sign him back. So I see him Michael Gallup going out, CeeDee Lamb's going to be there, Amari Cooper's going to be there, Dak's still there, and then they have their tight end Blake Jarwin.
My favorite pick from the 20th round. Yeah, if you just scroll up a little bit, thank you very much. Definitely Taysom Hill. The guy's just such a pure passer, and I think he's bound to be the number one in New Orleans very soon. The guy's an absolute animal. Compared to Jameis, he just makes Jameis look like a high school passer. Give me Taysom Hill 10 days out of 10.
For everyone out there that doesn't have a sense of humor, Wyatt's being totally sarcastic.
I am totally kidding. Taysom Hill is literally the most useless player in the NFL as far as offense is concerned. The dude should be playing linebacker somewhere, and the Saints are just ruining him, making him feel like he's important. He could actually be playing a position in the NFL because he's a freak athlete. I hate what they're doing with him. I'm going to go ahead and agree with Mick here. Blake Jarwin, you're getting – somehow in Dallas, the tight ends always find the ball, and I feel like they always find the end zone. I don't know if that's just me, but, yeah, Jarwin, best pick here for sure.
So that's gonna do it for this breakdown of this draft board. Went through the first 20 rounds, and so that's gonna lead us into our next video concerning one man's dynasty. Is we're gonna break down all the trades that have gone on since this draft, and there's been a lot of them, people. So we're gonna have a really in-depth video about why people got traded and what they got traded for, and the value we think certain players should go for. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I know this video isn't a super exciting video like we said, but it definitely has some value from the mid to late round picks. And we really hope you enjoyed and got some value out of it. If you did enjoy this video, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Go comment down below who your favorite pick between the 11th and 20th rounds were. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Fantasy Football Addicts. Thank you. Peace.
Draft Glide.